Welcome back to Footballing with Ben Roethlisberger. I am unprepared, and so that's why, just like any good team, I am going to turn this over to Spence, and he is going to carry this show.
Hey, man.
Oh, yeah.
Teamwork.
I'm Ben Roethlisberger.
It makes the dream work.
Holy cow. We have not done... Welcome back to the basement. I guess we should start there because we are back after a Tennessee layoff with some awesome shows.
That's a pretty good band name, actually.
Tennessee Layoff?
Yeah.
I like it. Maybe we should start that band.
The Tennessee Layoff.
We had some amazing shows that if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out with Duck and Bart and Walker. We had the Hall of Famer was in the basement. I guess we had Mel was back in the basement. I kept thinking this is our first time back, but
Mel was here.
We did that one, which was awesome. So much feedback from lots of people on all those, right? Like people love the stories with Duck. I had a few people come up to me with tears in their eyes because of Bart's and Walker's. Some dads were just, like, please, more people need to watch Walker's. Like if you're a dad and a coach or anything like that, just the story's unbelievable. So thank you to those guys for doing the show, and what came out of those was, which we can touch on if you want. And then Mel, the stories, the tradition, the history, Pittsburgh Steelers, all current Steelers should be watching that because you just...
Yes.
When I was sitting next to him, he oozes Pittsburgh Steelers and toughness.
It was so funny, man. Like after we wrapped that show, we went upstairs and we were chopping it up with Evan for a little bit. And typically when you hear stories about the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're like, oh man, it's like the 70s, this like the golden era. And it hit me like 3 or 4 times in the midst of that conversation. I'm like, oh, you're the guy from the stories.
That's the dude.
I'm like, you're the... was wild.
He's a dude. He is a dude. To sit here and talk to him, like I obviously I know him a little bit, whatever, but to sit here and hear the stories, I feel like we could have gone forever.
Yes.
And it's like, and I think he would have been fine with that too. He sat down here for a while, and like his wife came over, we were sitting here eating and talking and whatever. And then she started telling stories. Dude. And I'm like, no.
We should have got those stories.
Yes, I know. It was great about making biscuits and all that kind of, it was just so much fun to hear him. But yeah, he's Mount Rushmore, man. he's a dude.
It was wild. And like I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but in my mind, I always have like an image or like of what those people will be like in real life. And he exceeded all of my expectations. He was like the coolest dude in the world. So Mel, thank you just for being cool.
Yes,
and
super. What you saw is what you get. He's the nicest guy. He actually he reached out to me yesterday because he wants a clip for the roast. So they want to reach out. His son wants to reach out to you and get some clips for the roast.
Hit me
or
up.
something. So
take whatever you need.
The Mel Blount roast. Check it out.
Yes.
But yeah, all those shows. So if you're checking into this one and you haven't seen his show for a while, I know some people commented like, I didn't realize y'all were still doing the show.
We didn't either.
All season.
We didn't either.
So we're still doing it, everybody, if you want to check it out. But check out those other ones if you have time. Like I said, they're fun to watch and listen to. So it's almost 2 different shows. I've heard people say like, I listened to Bart's.
Yeah.
And then I watched it. Oh, and Nate Bargatze. That's the other one we had on the show. How did I forget that?
The biggest comedian in the world.
Sorry.
We forgot. It's Bargatze, remember?
Bargatze. Sorry, Bargatze.
Bargatze. Yeah, Nate.
But like to listen to him and then to watch him is like 2 completely different shows because you can just see the banter and the fun and all the food and all that good stuff. So we gave Evan the day off today. So if you're waiting to see Evan food, we gave him the day off. He's still mourning the Pirates being 1 in whatever.
We just lost half of our viewership the moment you told people Evan was not.
Yeah, sorry. Evan might come back. I don't know.
Wait until the end. Oh yeah, baseball started.
It did it though. We've won 1 game. Did it start?
I don't know. Well, here's the problem, man. I just wear hats that I like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I've lived so many places across the country that like my allegiance is wherever I'm currently living. And I'll wear this LA hat and be like, oh, you Dodgers fan? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, not at all, man.
Yeah.
I don't even like the city of Los Angeles. I just like this logo. But yeah, we have a good episode for you today. Because this is the first time we've had the opportunity to talk about all of the Steelers off-season moves. Mm-hmm. We're
still waiting for some moves.
We are.
Aaron, let's be honest. Yeah. If you're going to be throwing to DK Metcalf, and telling everybody about it, you might as well just sign.
I mean, you think what if he peppers it in, right? Just get Justin Jefferson out there too. Like, just keep them guessing. Peppers a couple random receivers in there.
I'm going to say it right here, right now.
Yeah.
I really believe that he's going to be a Steeler. Okay, I'm saying it.
Okay.
However,
I knew it was coming.
The reason, in my opinion, that he hasn't signed yet, because why would you not sign? If you're going to be throwing to DK and you've had all these meetings and to be honest, there's not really a lot of options out there for you. Like, let's be honest. It's like now, there was like 4 teams, right? It was like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Giants, Vikings.
Yeah.
Browns are done with it. I think they're done. Giants are done. They got 2 guys. So it comes down to Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Pittsburgh signed Mason.
Yep.
Welcome back. Minnesota has JJ, which they say they're standing by, but they haven't closed the door. Now everyone knows that Pittsburgh wants Aaron, but I think Aaron secretly, again, just my opinion, I think Aaron is secretly still holding out for Minnesota, which is why he hasn't signed with the Steelers. Why else would you not? Why else would you go throw with DK and be working out and put it out, blast to everybody that I'm throwing to these guys, but you won't sign? And the team, and I love the Steelers, they're like, we don't need to know right now. And they probably don't, because there's a lot of other options.
Right.
But I would think at some point you got to be like, hey, you need to let us know before the draft.
Sure.
Because I think they're going to draft a quarterback. It's just a matter of how high they draft a quarterback.
Like when they spend it.
What round, okay? So I just think he's holding out for Minnesota.
You think he's really gonna go try to complete the Brett Favre Infinity Gauntlet? Yeah, you think he's really trying to get?
I mean, for a guy that didn't want to be being Brett's shadow, he's following those same teams. I just think he thinks that Minnesota is a more complete, closer team to win a Super Bowl. And it might not be wrong.
I get that argument for sure, especially because of what they did last season. Mm-hmm. But you don't think, and I'll play Aaron advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
You don't think maybe going to the Jets and that panning out the way that it panned out would make him just a little bit gun shy to sign quickly? That he might want to try to get a couple of the receivers, test some stuff. Now, DK's probably lives in LA, right?
Probably,
could that have been just
like they're throwing in LA?
UCLA. It's like a happy accident. Like they're both Southern California residents.
Sure.
The DK thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like,
and they had the Steeler playbook out there. Yeah, it was total coincidence.
They were playing Renegade in the background.
Total coincidence.
Yeah, they had a couple Iron City lights.
Just let it. Why else would you not announce that you're coming here? I heard last night someone told me, I'm not going to say anybody's name, Chef Evan, that had said that he had heard from someone's cousin's brother, right? Like one of those kind of things.
What had happened was,
at least he prefaced it with that.
Yeah.
But he had heard that Aaron, and maybe it's because it was announced on the radio too, so maybe it's not like secret news, that he supposedly was like buying a house in Robinson by the airport.
Chef Evan would know where.
Supposedly. I said, Evan, are you leaving us? Are you leaving us?
Catch you later, Ben.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so funny.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
Well, you really think that the Minnesota? Do you think the hesitancy is the Minnesota thing?
What else would it be?
What are you guys going to do in the draft? Are you guys going to draft a guy? I mean, the extent of Aaron's contract is going to be what, 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
The deal's got to be on the table. Like, it's not like they're negotiating and trying to figure things out. And what do you, Aaron? If you're Aaron Rodgers, what are you thinking about the Pittsburgh Steelers? They have DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Like, what do you like? Well, if they get another receiver in the draft, I'll come there.
But would you not be more curious now that you know those things and you know their tight end room solid? They just signed Gainwell for the running, I think, which is something we need to talk about. I think is a great acquisition, but I think you would be more concerned about the O-line at that age.
Okay, but are you going to say, okay, if they go draft? But see, remember we had some guys playing this year that didn't play last year, right? Our first round pick last year didn't play.
Yeah.
What if they go draft one in the first round? Like, drafting a lineman in the first round doesn't, like, that's not a. I mean, it's a great thing, but it's not like, okay, yep,
sure, I'm
in. Like, that's not the needle mover that you get. You know, is there a lineman out there that he's like, oh, listen, we absolutely have to have a lineman? No. I just think it's, I just firmly, again, my opinion, why else would you not have already told people you're coming here?
I don't know his processes, man. Listen, the DK thing, when that came out, it did seem like, what are we doing? I'll give you that. But for Minnesota,
I'm just
he'll never be able to live that down if he does that. If he does the Brett Favre
repeat
and he goes and he wears number 4. It's like he does. He'll like.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Do you think there are reports of him maybe not even wanting to play? You think that's still a reality?
Why would he be throwing then right now?
See
if you don't want to, I mean,
feel how the chicken wing feels.
I go throw to my kids.
Yeah,
you know
that's because DK Metcalf's in LA. You throw to him if he was over
there.
there.
I know. I mean, I don't know. No, I think. I mean, listen. Yes, of course, not playing's always can be in your back pocket, but.
Why would he go throw?
Yeah, why are you working out and throwing and doing all that stuff if that's a real option?
That's what I do to work out.
Throw?
Yeah, to DK Metcalf. That's why I haven't worked out in 34 years.
Listen, that's a huge signing for the Steelers.
So, we kind of just fell into the quarterback talk. And I'm sure we'll double back on this because there's a couple other options if we don't sign Aaron Rodgers. If that happens and he goes somewhere else, chooses not to come to Pittsburgh, there's still some other names on the table that I want to get into. But like every good footballing episode, I think we should start with a beverage.
Okay.
Now, these beverages very interesting because they're not beers.
Okay.
These were given to us by a good friend, Emil.
Okay.
His father-in-law actually owns a distillery and like steakhouse. Steakhouse called The Lab. Distillery is Armen's Barrels, right? So we're going to try some of these here for you, okay?
Okay.
Now, the first one is a Pina Colada wine cocktail.
Oh.
That's the label of it.
Where is James Harrison when you need him?
Debo!
A Pina Colada.
Pina Colada.
Wine
cocktail.
Wine
is
cocktail.
Is what it sounds like. So I'm going to send this your way. Here you go. Smells good.
I'm sure it smells like Pina Colada.
Pina Colada. Getting caught in the rain. Hey, that song's terrible, by the way, right?
I had to sing that song.
What?
I had to sing that song for a commercial.
Had to?
Mm-hmm. It was that commercial where you had to do the like the sun will come up tomorrow like type thing.
That's what you remember you telling me about that.
I had to sing that.
Well, to give us before you do that though, give us a little.
I've had a cold for like 6 months.
Give us a shot. See this guy. A little something for the people.
I'm a little out. This isn't an
acoustic
environment. It's not an acoustic environment. Red, yellow, red, no. Okay.
All right, what do you got?
I smell Pina Colada.
There it is.
But it's not like a. Excuse me. No, that was total. A mill. I promise you, that was not. That was just a total. All right. Oh.
What do you think?
Okay, that's very interesting.
Okay.
What's the ABV on this? Does it say? Or is there an ABV?
It is 8.5.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't. No, I'm not saying that because it tastes like it. What I'm saying is the initial mouthfeel is like Pina Colada, like I'm at the beach.
Yes.
Pina Colada. And then it finishes with like a wine, which I know it is a wine. So it's got like that like stronger wine taste.
Almost
on the
like
back end
a dry Chardonnay feel.
In a way, yeah. And then it hits like a wine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Here you go. Check it out.
Really good. Like I could.
Yeah, they make that like in Washington, PA.
Grape wine with natural flavor. Yeah, I would like ice.
Oh,
like by the pool. Like as soon as I did, I'm like, poolside at the lake.
Yeah.
And then you realize that it's 8.5. That's why I asked. And you realize you're not swimming for very long.
No.
You gotta have a life jacket on.
Bring a blanket. Is really sit next to the lake.
But this is like drinking Pina Colada wine, sort of.
So that's when
James Harrison special.
You think Debo would like that?
Mm-hmm.
When Emil dropped those off, he's like, "Hey man, if you want to wait till the weather gets better,
like warmer."
Yeah. So he knew. Hey man, you're gonna want to be in the sunshine.
Barrel aged wine. Yeah, definitely. I can feel this is I would take this to the lake for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got another one later on in the show that we'll do that. I think is
this Pina Colada wine cocktail will remind you of vacation from the first to the last glass, or your one glass. Yeah. Served chilled or with ice. 100%.
Okay, Alchemist.
I mean, come on now. I'm all over that.
I mean, come on now.
It's like a commercial.
Look at this. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, they have another one here. They also make like spirits. So they make like a lavender infused gin or something that's in there. Maybe it's not lavender. I might be saying that wrong, but it's like purple. It's you get a box of it over there. They got a vodka over there as well.
Is this like the Aaron Rodgers special? Like that's why we're not drinking beer. Isn't he Southern? He's like a California guy. Like I feel like uniqueness. Like he's like a unique dude.
Well, he's like
retreats, the darkness retreats.
Yeah.
We should do a show if he signs to the Steelers.
Do one in the dark?
And if we can have Aaron on the show, but we'll do it in a complete darkness so they'll never know if Aaron's really here or not here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's just dark.
It's just a dark.
Just a black screen and just hear our voices.
I guess.
But his is a silent retreat, so he won't really talk either.
Yeah.
So be dark and no talking. Hey guys, guess what?
You can listen to that episode.
No, Aaron's really here.
You can listen to that episode right now. You just turn this one off.
But this feels like
you think
Aaron
like,
show. I mean, you've got like
he's California. Well, he's probably. I don't know if he drinks. He doesn't seem like a guy to have a drink. No, didn't he spill a bottle of tequila on the?
Well, I'm sure he drinks.
Yeah, is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never met him.
I think he drinks something like snakes in the bottom or some unique things.
Dude,
not because he's like just because he's unique.
What was that thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Because he gets like high or something, right? Like the
ayahuasca. Is that the same? I don't know what that is. It's like a drink.
I don't know.
I'm sure you get.
Never tried it.
I'm sure you get enlightened, but I don't know if it's necessarily. You know who we need to answer these questions other than Aaron Rodgers? You need to ask your boy Pat. He would know these questions.
Pat?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Pat McAfee?
That's the one I was thinking about.
Well, you know what? Next week I should ask
you
Pat
could
McAfee
ask him
because he told me he's coming on the show next week.
This show in this
basement.
Well, let's hope.
So
let's not.
You know, if he, I don't want to jinx anything or put him out there, but he told me that he was going to come sit in the basement and do this show. Hopefully Tone Diggs comes.
Your boy, yeah.
I don't know who else. Well, Evan said that if Boston comes, he's got to sit in the corner.
Boston Connor. Yeah. He doesn't like him?
I don't know.
I really like him. Now
I do too, but
I think he's hilarious. But we met him in Indy. He's really cool in real life.
Yeah.
But I know he has like a shtick. But like, oh, that's funny. Well, maybe they should arm wrestle. Boston Connor and Chef Evan.
What if Evan brings food and he spills on him? Oh. But no. So yes, we can ask Pat. He might know. He's obviously knows Aaron, so we can do all that. But yeah, so guys, next week, supposedly, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I'd love it. I don't want to put him out, but he told me straight to my face. Well, he's got a big show coming up.
If he doesn't show up, then we can. Everyone can get all over him for it.
Yeah,
for lying to us, to the fans.
Yeah, to the people. Well, he's got a big show.
It would mean that he doesn't love the fans, I guess. But
you're saying he hates Pittsburgh? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not going to say that, but maybe.
But he does have a big show coming to Pittsburgh. I would plug it here, but I think it's sold out, so I don't know if you can even go get tickets.
Evan told me last night he released like 1,700 more tickets. That's what Evan said.
Maybe Evan would know.
Try and find tickets.
I love how your source to Pittsburgh stuff is Evan.
For sure.
Because it seems like you would know this stuff, being, I don't know, like a Pittsburgh legend, and you have to go through Chef Evan.
Well, I know. Listen, I will say this, and I will not do any of it on the show because I think he'll get mad and he won't come, but I do know some of the details of the show.
Of Pat's show.
Pat's show that he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, don't ruin it.
I'm not going to say anything.
Don't. Okay.
Not even where it's at. Could they announce where it's at?
It's at PPG. Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to say that. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, I know.
What, guys, you heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. It's at PPG. Yeah. So let's dive into some of the Steelers acquisitions because we talked about the QBs a little bit. I want to jump back into that probably more towards the end before the draft. Mm-hmm. But we talked about DK. Just walk me through as you're getting these, I would imagine, ESPN updates on your phone, right? DK comes through. There's a couple other ones I want to ask you about. What was your thoughts when you heard that they had gotten DK?
I was sitting up in the living room, and I think we were watching a show as a family or something, and the alert came, and I was like, hey, boys, guess what? And I was like, Steelers just signed DK Metcalf. No, here's how I did it. I was sitting with Bodie, was sitting like on my lap. He was sitting here. I was like, hey, dude. I was like, and Benjamin was kind of like over by Ashley. And I said, hey, do you want me to tell you like some of the like the news? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you, and then you can tell Benjamin. Because I knew Benjamin would be like, So I was like, hey, the Steelers signed DK Metcalf. And he was sitting on my lap, and he went like this. No way. No way. You're not telling the truth, Dad. Like, he thought I was like joking. You're not telling the truth, Dad. Dad, you're not telling the truth. I'm like, I'm telling you. He goes, no way. And so then he's like, Benjamin. And then Benjamin's like, what? And he's like, you're never going to guess. Benjamin's like, what? No, you're not going to guess. Guess.
Left him
guess.
hanging.
What? I don't know. Guess. No, guess. Guess what? He's like, guess who signed for the Steelers? Who? Guess. I don't know.
That's so
like,
funny,
so they did this whole thing.
Yeah.
And Benjamin's starting to get worked up.
Has no context on what the guess.
No context whatsoever. And he's like, DK Metcalf. He was like, no way. Oh, and he like falls on the couch and he's going nuts and all this stuff. And I was like, that's how I would feel if I was the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes. Like I would have done the same thing. So anyway, I think that was huge news. To do something like that was kind of unorthodox for the Steelers in a sense, to do a big free agent signing like that, give them a huge deal, which was awesome. 5 for $150. I mean, that's for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's unheard of outside the building, but a guy that, it was evident that they needed a dude. And they got a dude, and now you got 2 dudes.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody.
You got to get someone to get the dudes the ball.
Yeah, I know everybody, including us, talking about number 2 receiver.
Mm-hmm. We got 2 ones now.
Nah, we need another number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought early, I'm like, that might mean the end of George. Like maybe.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily over yet. I still think there's some draft. They lost a 2nd round pick for that. The 2nd round pick is a big pick.
Yeah.
Could they get that 2nd round back with George? Mm-hmm. I think that'd be a high asking. I don't know that people would give a 2nd for George. He hasn't quite. 2nd round,
You don't think so?
DK Metcalf just got a 2nd.
Yeah.
He's only done a little bit. I mean, I think it could happen, but I think it's more like a 3rd.
Well, you
could package some stuff. But
just a 2nd, wasn't it?
2nd, yeah.
And something else?
2nd, it might have 2nd in like a next year's something else. I'm not exactly positive what it was. But so I guess I'm saying that I don't think it'll happen, but something could still happen, right? Okay. You could on draft day move up in the draft by getting rid of him, and then you go get something else. But again, I would love to see those 2 on the field at the same time.
Oh my gosh,
would love to see it.
That's lethal, bro. I mean, that would be especially with your tight end core. I mean, obviously we know what Pat can do. I would assume, based upon what I know about Arthur Smith's offense, that Darnell Washington is probably slated to get more involved. I think maybe there were some quarterback decisions that allowed him maybe not to get as involved as maybe the game plan was.
Yeah.
But with those tight ends, and then obviously you have Connor Haywood, kind of like a Swiss Army knife in there. But this is something I said to you earlier. I was like, I know we're going after Aaron. Obviously you're not going to turn down an opportunity to get a Hall of Famer on your team. But with the offense that has now been constructed, I don't think you need necessarily a dude. We brought Mason Rudolph back. Yeah. I think you need somebody who can get the playmakers the ball and manage the game. What did you?
Mason can do that. Mason can throw the ball and he can make decisions and go. I think the unique thing is going to be. I don't mean to interrupt you,
go ahead.
I don't hit this. Is like one of the things that we heard was that Arthur didn't let Russ change the plays. Didn't let him audible. I was also heard that in the 2-minute drill at the end of games, like Russ wasn't able to call his own plays, which is kind of unheard of for a quarterback. I know it is a little bit shocking. So maybe that's where some of the again, I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe that's where Aaron's kind of like, no, listen, if I'm coming here, I'm doing my own, like not my own thing, but like I get to the line of scrimmage. I'm a 4-time MVP. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm a Super Bowl champ. I'm changing a play if I want. Mm-hmm. And if it comes down to like a 2-minute drill or, at the end of the game, like Aaron's going to call his own plays.
Right.
Unless that was like something that in the deal, like, well, Arthur's going to do it. And so then Aaron's like hesitant on it. But I can't believe it's happening. With Mason, I would imagine that Arthur's going to be much more like, nope, just like he did with Russ. Sure. If you didn't let Russ do it, you're not going to let Mason do it, right? Sure. Russ is a potential Hall of Famer. He's a however many time Pro Bowler, this, that, and the other. I would assume that if it is Mason, that it's like, okay, I'm calling the plays, run the plays I call, and maybe some check with me, a little bit here and there. But Mason can get the guys the ball. Mason can throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Like that's never been a question. He can get guys. He can make decisions and get the ball out of his hand, and he's not afraid to take shots down the field either.
Right.
That's one of the things I think that as you've watched Mason when he was here and then in Tennessee, like he's not one of these guys that gets nervous and just wants to get the ball out of his hands right away. He'll sit in there and he'll throw it down the field, and I think that's what you got to do when you have George Pickens and DK Metcalf. Those are deep down the field type guys, and so if you don't end up getting Aaron, which is what I think you would want if you'd want to make your offense a wider net offense and create more things. If you don't end up getting him, I think you can stick with Mason and be happy with what you're going to get. I know that Coach Tomlin came out and said, and I'm sure Omar said the same thing, like, we're excited with Mason. Mason's our guy. Well, then why'd you get rid of him in the first place? I mean, it's a little bit of,
I think all of us
throw that question out there, but, I think if that's what you end up going with, it's not like Oh man, we're settling for Mason. I think it's like, we got him, we signed him back, we brought him back, and gave him 2 years, $8 million, and because you believe in him. Now, if you believed in him that much, you wouldn't have got rid of him. Again, there's kind of two sides to the thing, but I still think there's some options out there for drafting a guy later rounds, 3rd, 4th round. I think they'll draft someone in the 3rd round. I do.
Quarterback.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They'll draft somebody
because they got the 19th in the 3rd round, which is the 83rd overall.
Okay, so I think they're going to go for a quarterback. I don't think they'll do it in the 1st round. Just my opinion.
Who do you think will be there in the 3rd round?
Well, that's tough. I think, again, if they don't get a 2nd round, if they don't go up and get a 2nd round pick, I think that there's some quarterbacks that could be there. I think Will Howard could be there from Ohio State. I think the kid, which I don't know a lot about, from Louisville, who the Steelers really like him. Slough, or I don't know. I can't think of his name. I think that they kind of like Jackson Dart, but I don't think he'll be there in the 3rd round. I think if he is, I think they jump all over it.
Sure.
I think some of you are talking about him being a 1st rounder. I think it just depends on how quarterbacks start going off the board. That's kind of how it works, right? It's like if quarterbacks don't go early, like Cam Ward will probably go early, Shedeur will probably go early, and then it's like, at what point do they all kind of say, you know what, we're going to let these guys fall, So with the 21st pick in the 1st round, you don't think they're going to go quarterback there? I don't think they should.
What do you think their first pick's going to be?
I would probably go, I would either go O-line or D-line, which sounds crazy. And maybe D-line because, you got rid of Okunjobi, right? Yeah. You have Cam, who obviously played great last year, but he's definitely on the how many more years does he have left?
But he played crazy last year.
He played really well, but that's my point. He played really good. Yeah. But you've got to add depth. You've got to get guys in there that can play and replace him. If you can find Cam's 10 to 12, 13, 14-year replacement in the in the 1st round, that's what you have to do. You've got to get that. You got to get that guy.
Yeah, I'm looking. I know they just signed Isaiah Loudermilk. They picked up some
special teams guy, replacement hustle guy. But if you can get a stud D lineman, you've got to shore up the run D, because look what these guys did to us in the run game. That's not Steeler appropriate,
right?
O-line, you can always get offensive linemen. You never have enough of those guys. I would be nervous too about Broderick Jones moving to left tackle this year for the first time.
He didn't play that in the league? He played that in college, right?
He played it in college, but then he moved to right tackle then go to left tackle. And you talk to linemen, it's not just like, I'm going back to play it's a different ball game. Really? People wanted to, they were all over Dan Moore when he was here, which people that watch the show know I like Dan Moore. I loved his heart. I loved the way he played. He went and got paid. Yeah. You don't pay a guy if you don't believe that he's worth something.
Right.
And so I think they're going to regret getting rid of a steadfast guy at tackle for a while.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking another name that was being thrown around as far as a quarterback is a cat from Alabama, Milroe.
Again, to me, that's a 3rd round guy. Yeah, if he's gone before the 3rd round, I would be shocked. I think he would be a good 3rd round guy. If there, but again, if people don't start taking quarterbacks, let them just fall. Let them fall into your lap.
Yeah,
because the reason that quarterbacks start going off the board is like, okay, you take the first 2 guys, which are the Sanders and Ward, and then it's like, okay, there's a group of guys behind, and it's like, how do we? And if it gets like middle of the 1st, end of the 1st, and no one's taken one of them, it's like, okay, we can keep letting it go. Now, as soon as one goes, as soon as Jackson Dart goes, or Milroe or Gabriel, I think from Oregon. Like whenever those guys start going, then everyone's like, okay, we got to start picking quick because they're going to all be gone.
Sure.
So it all just it's all about how they start drafting. If you start sneaking halfway through the 1st and end of the 1st, and that 3rd quarterback hasn't been taken yet, you can be like, we're going to get one in the 3rd round.
Interesting. Yeah, man, that's a whole.
It is. It's unique. The Steelers still could go for Kirk Cousins.
Well, that's another thing I was going to ask you, because
potentially,
if you're looking for,
I don't think you should though.
Why?
Because if you've got Mason, and if you've got Mason, you're going to draft a guy in the 3rd round. Let Mason be the veteran guy to be there. Let him sit behind him. Let him push him a little bit. Kirk's going to cost you a lot more money. Take the money that you were going to give Kirk and or Aaron and start thinking about TJ.
Oh yeah, when's TJ?
Because he's got to think this year. So save that money that you're going to have to give Kirk, who's been stealing from the NFL forever. and just give it to TJ. Give it to him right now. Give him a a deal. And get done with that.
Talk about crazy deals, man. How much money would it would it take for you to like Cleveland again?
Well, if it was, obviously Myles Garrett wanted to leave. 200. He wanted nothing to do with Cleveland. I want to go win a Super Bowl. I want out of here. I want to go to a contender. Oh, you want to? Oh, sure, I'll play.
You said 240?
Silly. Of
Man,
course, I love it here.
I love lakes.
The lake. I got a beach house right on Lake Erie. I love fishing in there. Good for you.
So the only reason why I bring that up is because TJ's contract has to look like that or bigger.
Yeah, I would think the only reason it could be not quite as big is because he's a little bit older. The only reason. I think you could. I think if you're TJ, it's like, hey, I'll take a shorter deal, like shorter years. Give me a 2 or 3 year for a high average per year, and then I can have a chance to. In 3 years, I can either retire or try and go to a contender that's going to have a real chance to win if the Steelers haven't done that.
How heartbreaking would that be, man? It's if God forbid TJ goes to another team and gets a ring with them. I want TJ to get a ring at any. I think he is a world champion that has yet to acquire the hardware. But for a Steelers fan, you'd be like, oh, could have been us.
Yeah. I think as a Steelers fan, you're happy for him, but you want to be here. So, let's go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have a list here if we're going to do a 7.
Oh yeah,
that kind of goes into some of these things. We can
let's
talk
totally
about
do
it.
Yeah. So we're going to do 7's top 7, and the topic I guess I threw at you was top off-season moves, right? Because there's been a lot of old shuffle the deck.
It was hard to keep track of so many. There's so many things that have happened.
Yeah, so we're going to go through your top 7 2025 off-season moves.
Yeah, and I had to, it was kind of like, okay, do we just do new teams, like new players to a new team, or signing? So kind of threw a little bit of both at it. And some of these are going to be, I have a couple that are maybe more relevant to us as Steelers and whatnot. So in no particular order, but I will start with 3 kind of honorable mentions because they all are the same position.
Okay.
So I feel like it fits. And it's Deebo Samuel's going to Washington just because he's a great football player and he brings so much to a team that has a great quarterback that's got a good young team. I think he could be a missing piece that they need. DeAndre Hopkins going to Baltimore. Again, D-Hop maybe on the back end of his career, but I still think is a viable option. And you put him in the division. I think as Steeler fans, you have to be like, man, you just gave Lamar another weapon.
Yeah.
And then Devontae Adams going to the Rams.
Those are all not on the list.
Those are not on my list. Those are my honorable mentions.
Dude, I feel like those would have been like my top 3.
I know. Again, guys that are, not Debo, but Devontae's on the back end, but he's still, to me, he's a top dude in this league.
Yeah.
Going out to do stuff with McVay. McVay's going to have him.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and then you've got Pook on the other side. Like it's going to be a team.
I felt
Stafford's like, whoo-hoo.
Yeah, I felt that way with D-Hop. I was like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
You got to think of Zay Flowers, too?
I thought D-Hop coming here would have been a good move, too.
I know. What's up? Come on, man.
All right, so then I'm going to get into it. Again, no particular order. I'm going to go with the Texans making 2 moves. So it kind of goes as one with Christian Kirk coming over, wide receiver, and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Both those guys, I think, are good players that are just going to bolster a team that already has some weapons. And so I think that's a move that the Texans got right. Now the next 3 guys, or next 3 on my list, are all re-signees. Okay, so they went back to the same team, but it was a big deal. And it was Max Crosby going to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Myles Garrett going back to the Browns, which maybe is a bigger deal because he wanted out and he wanted nothing to do with Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then he's going back because he saw a lot of zeros, which, okay. And then the last one, which, again, another divisional, was Chase and Higgins to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
To keep both those guys for Joe Burrow, that's just a huge deal. I thought that Joe, I thought you could keep Chase, keeping Higgins would be tough, but they did it, got them all done. Now that's a lot of money wrapped up into 3 offensive players, which for a team that already struggled a lot on defense, it's going to be tough for the Bengals to. But I guess if they can outscore everybody,
that's the goal.
That's going to be the goal. Next on my list, in no particular order, was Joey Bosa going to the Bills.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I know he's been hurt and there's been some, to be determined, but you're going to a team that's going to the AFC Championship game for the last however many years and is on the cusp of getting, to the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, he may not be hurt as much. You may get a little life from him. Mm-hmm. You know what he can do. So I think that's a big move for the Bills. Next is a 2-player to the same team, Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp going to Seattle. Again, I've talked about Sam Darnold on this show before. I thought he was revitalized last year in Minnesota. I think a lot of that had to do with the coach. I think Kevin O'Connell is an unbelievable coach, which is maybe one of the reasons Aaron wants to go there. What he drew up and the offense that he had in Minnesota.
That Aaron allegedly wants to go there. We don't know anything.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. I think that they have a chance to do that up there in Seattle, and now you've got Cooper Kupp, who I still think is a unbelievable teammate, unbelievable football player. Thought he was going to come here too.
That would have been nice.
Would have been nice. So those, I think that'll really help Sam, and I think I think that move's a big one because it's a combo, and then DK coming here.
Yeah. Would you say that's your number one, DK here? Just because it probably impacts us the most?
I think it is because of this show and being Steelers fans, and I just don't think the Steelers make moves like that.
It did seem very uncharacteristic. It felt like...
They never did. I can't think of one time they did that when I was... Like, to sign a guy like that in a prime of his career...
That would have been nice.
At a stud dude. I mean, we signed some good football players that were, that I love, that were great teammates and great friends, but this is like you just signed a top 5 dude in the NFL at his position, and he's not coming off. Like, the Steelers are known to sign guys coming off injuries.
Sure.
We'll get him good. We got a good deal there.
Cheap, yeah.
But this is not coming off. This is a dude.
So what does that do for the locker room? Because you obviously, how you ended the season is not how you wanted to end the season. But not only not winning a championship, but like the way you went out on kind of like a 5-game slide into the playoffs, and then
it would make me feel like, okay, they're actually trying to do something. Yeah. Like, I think there were years that I was here that you felt like, gosh, are they doing anything?
Yeah.
Like, are they just relying on what we have here already? And that's great, but sometimes you got to make moves. Other teams are making moves. We got to make moves, and so sometimes I think that was a frustrating thing. And so now I think with this happening, it's like, okay, I think they're probably still like, well, what about our quarterback situation? And, I know you saw Cam backpedal better than any DB that I've ever seen when he talked about Aaron. Now, like, if you don't want to be here, you don't be here. And then he did a little. No, we won Aaron. And now he's, and then I know they're happy with Mason, which I think that's the right move too. But I think there's still those questions like what's going to be there at our quarterback. Now, if the Steelers were to come out and say, listen, no, we're done in everything, and Mason is our guy. We are going with Mason. I think that even sends its own signal.
Sure.
Right? Like, yeah, you signed him, but you didn't really give him that full endorsement. Same thing with Justin Fields. The reason he left, right? He said that he didn't get that full endorsement.
Right.
Which as soon as he signed, I saw the Jets this week said, no, we believe in Justin Fields. He's our guy. Like, some people just want that belief and that acknowledgement and that confidence, that all that. So I think if you were to just come out and say, listen, Mason's our guy, then I think that's a lot easier of a pill to swallow for everybody. Like, okay, because I still think there's some questions. Like, what are we? Are we not? What are we doing? Is it Kirk Cousins? Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it Mason? Is it a guy in the draft? Like, we don't really know.
Right.
You showed us that you want to do things by signing DK Metcalf and I can't think of his name, the DB, Darius Slay. You've shown some stuff that okay, we need to go win now, but come out and tell me who you want, who's our quarterback.
Yeah. I would imagine too that would be extremely challenging from a leadership standpoint. Now, obviously, I don't know the game. You never played to where I wouldn't know the nuances that impacts. But from a leadership standpoint, I've spent much time there to where if you don't have a clear head of the ship and even the position, if you're like, okay, the quarterback's the leader, but you don't really, you're swapping between that. If the quarterback's supposed to be the leader on the offense, but
it'd be nice to know who it is.
But the culture maybe follows that guy, but this guy's in the game. Like, it would be extremely difficult for people just looking for answers, right? And then you're putting the banner of leadership on guys who have been there longer, but their role might not be as significant in the actual operation. So you're expecting a tight end to be the dude when it's like, you got a veteran presence in here, so you want to respect that, but he's new to here. And so there's so many random leadership dynamics to have a guy, to your point, to have a guy say, hey, that's the guy, we're going with him. Even to the point where if Aaron comes in and he's like, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm just 2 minutes, I'm going to do Aaron Rodgers stuff, right? Because I'd be curious.
Earned it.
Yeah, I would be curious, after you've had the resume to be able to do that in your time playing, at what point in time was like, hey, I'm going to do some Ben stuff real quick, right? And it's like 2 minutes, what we prefer, what our like system is, but then within that system, go do that thing that you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain respect too for the team. That's like, I need to respect the team and what they're trying to do and let them know what I'm going to do.
Right.
Which I think is what they're waiting for Aaron for. Listen, if Aaron comes in here, the team just gets this much better. I mean, you get a Hall of Famer in here, it's this much better. I mean, it's the offense all of a sudden becomes a different team, and that's not a slight towards anyone here. That's an Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I mean, that's a different animal. You can say what you want. Yeah, he can't move quite like he used to, this and the other. What still works? His arm and his brain.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that instantly makes this team offensively something to think about when you've got the weapons and that dude.
Yeah, especially in light of talking to Mel on the last episode. I should probably just call him Mr. Blunt. How dare me? But it's a really interesting dynamic when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're so legacy driven and it means something. And I don't know if this is specific to the Steelers. I'm sure there's a handful of franchises all throughout the league that this is true for. But because I live in Pittsburgh and I've gotten an intimate understanding of this for Pittsburgh, it's like it's very legacy driven, but it means something to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, right? I know this. Like I feel like in the quarterback position, the Steelers need to find the franchise guy. Like they need to establish something that is beyond the initial, let's get this year. And I understand the desire to want to win right now. It seems like the talent is there. Like obviously we talked about your stars are getting older and you don't want to, waste their career in rebuilding a franchise. You want to be competing for championships. But as a head coach or a GM or an owner, like you have to be aware that the process, that in the process you have to try to win this year, you still have to rebuild this franchise for the future. Right? How do you navigate that? How do you navigate that? Like, hey, we have the components to do it right now, but we also need to understand, like, if this ship sinks next year after a championship, then where are we?
Yeah, well, that's what I think every team has to go through.
Yeah,
I think you're trying to figure out the win now, win in the future. There's just so few teams that get the Patrick Mahomes and one coach, one quarterback, a Travis Kelce, like a team like that can just sustain it year after year. Listen, it boils down to having a franchise quarterback, and they don't have that on their team right now. Even if Aaron Rodgers comes in, he's not the franchise quarterback of the future.
Right,
he's a right now chance to win it, but they don't have their franchise quarterback on their roster right now. There's a chance they could get it with a third or fourth round steal in the draft this year that ends up being the guy that, wow, we had no idea. But the most likely chance of getting their franchise guys in next year's draft. There's a deeper quarterback class. You can go now. Just because you get a chance to get a guy in the first round doesn't mean that he's going to be a franchise guy either. There's been a lot of first round guys that haven't been. Sometimes, second and third round guys end up being better. So you need to find a way to get that franchise guy when your team is still pretty good, right? That's what I got blessed with. I was able to come to a good football team as a young quarterback. It's not like I came in and was on a team that totally rebuilding or whatever. So if they can try and get that guy next year when they still have enough pieces, I think that'll be important. But the defense is not young. The offense is younger, so I think you're going to go through these transition phases, right? Where offense is older, defense is young, then defenses get older, offenses get younger. So they're going through that phase of young offense right now, older defense. And so they need to try and hit when they're both at the that right peak and age-wise and experience-wise. And so I think that they have that in the next 2 years, but you've got to find a quarterback that can do that.
Which one do you think is more valuable? Like, I guess it's, value is subjective, but like, is it, hey, let's win one next. Let's try to get Aaron for 1 year, win it, and then we'll figure it out later.
I think that's what you have to do. Because again, your guy's it's not like you don't have a young quarterback on your roster right now that is your answer. And if Mason was your future, if your franchise guy, you wouldn't let him go.
Yeah. And so, and you're saying that the talent to pull from just isn't available either this year.
In the draft?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple good ones in there, but the first two are going to be gone.
Jane Daniels isn't sitting around.
No, I don't. No, not at all. I mean, well, no, not at the 21st or and then third round. No. But again, there's always a chance that you can get a guy in the second or third round that is going to be a guy that was just kind of a sleeper you liked, and he ends up being better than you thought. Whether he didn't play as much college, or he develops a certain way, or he has a great team around him. I mean, you bring a quarterback in next year that could be an okay quarterback in college. Or even this year, like I said, the Will Howard, the Jalen Milroe, some of those guys, if all of a sudden you bring them in and you put them with Pickens and DK, and you get, and you've got Freiermuth, and you've got some of these other pieces, you can make a quarterback be better than maybe you thought he was too, because you put great people around him.
Sure. You listen to that Duck Hodges, ladies and gentlemen.
Bring him back. Quack, quack.
That branding would have been great. Let's be honest. Yeah, man, that's interesting, bro. I mean, by the time this will come out tonight, we might look like fools. Aaron might be on a plane right now.
Could, and people won't even listen to this show.
They're like, what are those two chumps talking about?
What's new?
What's new? We do this really just for our circle of friends.
Yeah,
we make this show for our small group. And only 3 of them listen to it. So, yeah, man. So I'm going to jump into this next drink, and then I want to talk about the draft. We touched on a little bit on what's possible there, but I don't know how much thought you've given to it, but
none.
You were out feeding horses this morning. That's how tapped in you are.
We had to reshoe a couple horses.
Reshoe?
I wasn't shoeing them. I was just letting the farrier reshoe them.
Hey, talk to me about reshoeing a horse. Is that what happened that one time I was over there? Is that what you were doing? Oh, remember when we had no, they had an infection, didn't they?
Infection. Yeah. No, we had to soak the foot. No, this is they've got to get new like horseshoes. Like their hooves grow, right? It's like a nail.
Yeah.
And so it grows so much that you have to take the old shoe off, trim the nail, put the shoe back on.
So you tap it in with the nails and
nails,
Don't want to miss that one.
It's very violent.
Don't want to miss. Well, they can't feel it in the actual hoof, right?
Unless you mess up.
And they'll let you know. You know what's so funny? That's not really funny. Just an interesting thing is I think horses are like the most majestic animal on the planet. Sure. At least out of the ocean. I think there's some like ocean creatures that are pretty legit. But being around your horses, I'm like, these things can turn terrifying immediately.
Quickly.
Very quick.
Very powerful.
Yeah, you find out real quick,
they
buddy.
Move quick.
You aren't in charge here. It's like
it's not like a big cat. Like like when a cat or a dog turns at you quick, like they're the quickness that'll pounce on you and you're done. But like that animal is big and strong, and they can get a hoof up to your face really quick.
It's like I always said that. Like I grew up surfing. I always said that about the ocean, to where it's like, it's real fun. But like, hey, if this wanted to just stop you from being, it can do that.
Yes.
And you learn that. You're like, what a beautiful horse. And if it senses something, you're like, I'm not in control here.
Well, that's why would have been great with Mel. Like we'll get Mel out here and we'll talk. We'll talk about real horse stuff, Mel. But they can sense you on their back, like if you're tense, they can feel that. I mean, they can feel fly on their back, so they can tell when you're tense, right? And it's just like if one time that like that big animal, that 1,000-pound animal, is controlled by a metal thing in its mouth this big, like a bit in its mouth, and that's
biblical. The rudder.
It's gonna go.
I'm about to turn it.
If it's gonna run through that bit, it'll run through the bit. But still,
I'm about to turn this into a sermon.
Okay.
No, but. Yeah, it was. So you were kind enough to let me and my wife ride. I think it was for her birthday a couple of years back, and my wife grew up around horses. But I got on the horse. I was like, "Oh, buddy, I'm out."
Please just do what I ask you to do.
Hey, Ben, is it supposed to be doing this? Is that
what is this
thing looking at me weird?
Why is it doing this? Why is it walking sideways?
All right, so what you got here is Armen Barrel's Blackberry Sangria.
Lips taste like sangria.
Oh, okay.
We can have a song for everything.
Look at you.
It's not.
Look at you.
The acoustics are bad around here.
Jeez, is this the voice? Let me. Well, I turned my chair on that one, brother.
This is another wine. Like it's a wine.
This Blackberry Sangria is largely based on in-house barrel-aged dry red wine. That's hard to say. Our recipe also includes natural flavors of blackberry, peach, orange, and lemon. This combination of ingredients contributes to a balanced feel of body and finish of this wine, served chilled or with ice. You concur?
It's delightful.
Yeah. Look, 2 for 2.
It's not, and they're not overly sweet.
That's the way.
Either one of them.
Yeah.
It is. This tastes like a sangria, just a wine.
I like a good sangria.
It's really good.
Both
of them are very good. Again, it hits you like the initial drink, the initial taste is like, oh, this is a fruity. Fruity is not the right. It is fruity.
Yeah.
Not sweet, but just a fruity because it's not sweet. Like a really like light, and then it hits you like, oh, this is like a wine. Like wine kind of hits you like in the chest and stuff a little bit. These are delightful meal. Thank you. Or your father-in-law. I mean, this is awesome. I would highly recommend if you
check them out.
Want this stuff? Armen's Barrels, Washington, PA. If you're looking for something unique and want to try something, you'll like these a lot.
Yes.
Like I would get cases of these for like the pool. Like,
oh yeah, summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh. Yeah, and you can try them out. They have like I said, they have a steakhouse called The Lab. I believe it's in Washington, PA, in which they make all the stuff, I think, in that facility as well. Oh. You can just go try them.
I love a steakhouse.
You can do this, but over there.
I love a steakhouse.
You do love a steakhouse. Who doesn't? Vegetarians, probably. Yeah. So let's jump into the draft stuff. So you already talked, like, first round, you think you're going one of the lines.
I think
that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, second round, we gave that up. Third round, you got the 19th pick.
I would look for a quarterback if there's one available.
Okay. I think I don't know if all these are accurate based upon other moves. I got these from the Steelers website. So if they're inconsistent with what is current at the date of this filming, don't blame me. Fourth round, 21st pick. It's 123rd overall. Fourth round. Where would you go?
Now you start getting into stuff like, okay, is there like a receiver there?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the other spot. If you don't have a quarterback you like in the third, then I'd get my receiver, like the best available weapon.
Okay.
Receiver in the third. Now, obviously, this could all change if they do something with George, right? These are all contingent. This is if the team was as it is now. So in the third, I would either go quarterback or receiver. Like if there's a really good skilled receiver out there that you want, maybe a smaller, fast guy, slot guy. I know you're still waiting to see what the guy from Michigan who didn't play last year. There's still some options there, but I would consider that. You probably need to look at. I would need to look at the depth chart in terms of DBs. I know you got Darius Slay, but he's getting older.
I signed Juan Thornhill too at safety.
Okay.
Interesting.
A D line. It's something you got to get a D lineman, whether that's the first round pick or an offensive line. You can never get enough O line, D line.
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking about running back? I know that I think it was Kenneth Gainwell, which I will say from Philadelphia when we played him. I think. Was Saquon injured or he didn't play? I thought he played. The times I saw
rotated in.
Well, I think
Saquon got hurt a little bit. I think in our game, right? Yeah, but he still played. But
I thought the times that I saw Gainwell play, I was like, this dude is great. He was running great. I thought just in the shadow of Saquon. It's like anybody.
No, I wouldn't mess around in the draft with a running back. You got Warren and him.
Right.
Maybe if there's one like a late round, a fourth or fifth or sixth round guy that you're like, let's just take a shot on a guy that's got a unique skill set, big dude or a speed guy. But in terms of running backs, I would go with those guys and then just keep your depth at what you have. That wouldn't be a high priority for me if I was on this team, especially with that signing.
Okay, and fifth round, 20th pick in the fifth round.
Again, now you're just starting to get into.
So what do you do on the back half of this? You're hoping to have everything that you need, and now you're looking for depth. You're looking for what can we steal here?
A unique skill guy. Maybe there's
are you trading?
This is when you start getting to the point of like, okay, Danny Smith, what do you need? Like in the sense of not like necessarily long snapper, punter, kicker.
Yeah.
But like you need like a gunner, or you need a cover guy.
Sure.
You need a good like linebacker type that can cover kickoffs or can cover punts or, like those kind of guys. Like a guy that the defense can use potentially, Loudermilk, right? Loudermilk's a dude that's a good special teams guy, can give you something on defense. So it's like, okay, give me a guy that can give me something on defense, but it can be a high level Killebrew.
Yeah.
Miles Killebrew. He's a defensive captain. He's a DB. But he's a special teams guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you're looking for in those later rounds.
Okay. Cool. And the same goes for 6th and 7th round.
Yeah. At some point, maybe package some of those up and try and move up.
Yeah.
use them for next year's pick. You got 4 compensatory picks. How do you say compensatory got 4 picks next year. Package those together, move up in the first.
What is a compensatory pick?
Those are like when you trade a guy, or if he leaves and he gets I won't be good to explain it, but if you get rid of a guy, depending on what he gets paid or what round you get back, like you get a pick, and then you can use that pick as. So I think we have 4 of them, which is like pretty good.
Okay.
So I think you could package some of those and move up in the first round next year if you need to.
We need to do an episode with Tollner so I can ask all these questions.
I don't understand them. He's explaining to me, I don't get them.
Yeah. I was like, cool. Do I need to worry about this? Tight.
Yeah, whatever. So,
well, that's interesting, man. So overall, moving forward, this has been, I think, one of the more robust off seasons we've seen in a while. How do you feel moving into the 2025 season, sitting here today on April 1st? Oh, happy April.
Happy April 1st.
Yeah.
I feel good about this team. I would love to know who the quarterback's going to be. I know Mason's there.
How's your arm?
Yeah, no, the game has passed me by. I know we have Mason, but then say if they were just come out and say this is our guy, then I'm gonna start feeling better. So as soon as they announce who our guy is, like he's our starter day one, I know you got to deal with something, but this is our guy, then I'm gonna be like, all right, I feel a lot better. So the draft is coming up, and we'll get ready for that, and we'll talk about the draft, pre-draft, post-draft, and talk about the picks. I'm excited to see what they do and how they add guys to that, but a lot of that, again, I would want to know what Aaron's doing because if Aaron comes, I'm probably not drafting a quarterback in the 3rd round.
Sure. Yeah, I know a lot.
Probably not. Maybe go the 4th round with it.
Yeah, I know a lot hinges on that. The time frame of that is interesting too, because we've heard a couple times. I think I heard it was either Coach T or Omar say we're using time as an asset or as our friend. Like we're not rushing it.
That doesn't make sense,
right? But I think I understand that you don't need something pressing right now. It would make things easier, but I would imagine.
Yeah, okay, it's not pressing right now, but you would still like to have some understanding before the draft comes.
For sure. And I'm also curious too, and I don't know any of this, but I'm just watching it. I'd be curious too what a younger offense feels like, having had a couple rounds of veteran quarterbacks kind of using them to try to relaunch their career. So like at some point in time, you got to be wanting a guy that's like, hey man, we want you to be here to ball for us, not to kind of leverage. You get Justin, now a younger quarterback, but veteran-esque presence. You get Russ come in, and it's kind of like they're looking for a spot to revitalize their spot. At what point in time does the offense feel like, hey man, you just kind of doing this for you, and you need a guy playing for us?
Listen, it would be great for them to get it. That's why I keep saying it'd be great for them to get their guy in the draft, like a first or second round pick that you want to be your future, because then you let them grow up with the linemen, with the receivers, with Pat Fryermuth. Pat's now a couple years older. If they could get a rookie this year, like if the draft class was deep in quarterbacks this year, and you could get a guy, jump all over it, because now you've got a Fryermuth who's got a veteran leadership. You've got DK who's older. You've got Pickens, who obviously is a stud. We all know about some of the issues in terms of headache, if you will. We know we see that, but you've got you've got Roman Wilson. You've got a young line. Let that quarterback, let them all kind of come up together. Yeah. That's more valuable than trying to plug an older guy in there that they like, okay, he's here for a year or two.
You're right.
Like let it be our guy. Yeah. So that's why I think it'd be so valuable for them to get a quarterback this year, next year at worst case scenario.
Well,
we'll see what happens in a couple weeks.
We will.
We'll ask McAfee about it too.
Yeah. What's the draft?
End of the month, I think.
Okay. It's 4th, 5th? April 20th.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. When it happens,
24th, 25th, somewhere in there.
When it happens, we'll be the last to talk about it, folks.
We will.
Probably.
Unless we go live. Well, I'll be out of town.
Yeah. You want to? We'll
figure it out.
We'll phone you in. I'll be at your house. I'll be at your house.
You'll be here and I won't be here. That'd be funny. You guys want to see us do like one not live, or not live, but like not in person, we could talk about it. But
that always feels weird.
It does. That's why we don't do it.
That's why we don't phone people in. Other than that, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts about what the Steelers are doing, what they should be doing. Put that in the comments below. And if there's anything you want to ask Ben, you want to hear Ben talk about in the show, leave that there too. We'll incorporate it, especially in this off-season stuff before the season starts up and we have games to talk about. We'll tap back in with you guys and see what's up. Anything else you want to say to the people?
Go bother Pat McAfee. Make sure he's here next week. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. We appreciate y'all. And we are getting so much closer to a cookbook.
Hey.
See you when we see you.